Alright, today we'll be talking about future Ant-Man and like his role in the game, and it should be grinding for him as a 5-star because the arena is about to drop, and I just want to like go over everything you need to know about him and the most important pieces of content, and just let you know like is he worth going for, and do you think you'll have a use for him overall? So yeah, he is a very solid hybrid attacker slash defender. I feel like his kit is mainly defense orientated, but he's still a pretty decent attacker overall. He has the standard tech tropes like countering Havoc with his armor ups and his power drain, but he also is pretty unique in the sense where like his power detonation and his disintegrations are very like cool debuffs, and they let him be a very good power controller overall. Like right here, this is the all or nothing node, and he's going to take it pretty well because of his constant power drain and disintegrations reducing combat power rate by a pretty good chunk overall. So I think he's a pretty good attacker, but like his defensive kit is very solid as well. So there's a lot to talk about with this guy, but I just want to say this is for the 5-star version only. The 6-star version is a much harder grind and a lot more money spent, so like I wouldn't use this video to determine if you want to go for the 6-star or not, because like that is completely up to you, because it's such a hard like grind to get it. So I feel like that's like all in your hands, to be honest. So for Battlegrounds, I feel like the defense side is his best part. He's a pretty good tech attacker though, but I feel like he only shines in like mutant matchups. So if you're missing like a Nimrod or just like any viable tech attacker, he will be of good use for you even as a 5-star, so I would pick him up in that sense. But if you already have like your Nimrods, your Mega Sentinels, then I feel like he is very worth passing on. But if you need a defender, then it becomes a whole different story. But I just want to say also, in this meta, he's not the best because his damage is pretty gimped, because you want a very aggressive playstyle, right? And that means you'll stack a lot of weaknesses on you, so it just like won't be a fun time overall. But I feel like he's still pretty good, and I feel like in future metas, he'll be a pretty viable attacker, but just not like for every single fight, you know? He's not like a Hercules where you can just like use it for most fights, right? Him needing a very specific playstyle and like ideally just like be able to power drain the opponent makes him not very viable for every single matchup, but he still is like pretty good for like a lot of matchups overall, and I feel like he will have a lot of use in the future of like Battlegrounds. But this is the offense side. Now let's talk about the defense side, because this guy is a monster defender. He is such a strong time waster. So if you're missing a good defender, just like any defender, right? It doesn't have to be like a good tech defender, just any defender, he is worth it 100%. He will do you so much work. Like he is the king of time wasting. This is a rank 4 Doctor Doom right here, and like he still took a long time to take him down. Like of course he gets shut off by like nullifiers pretty well, or like fate sealers, but he is such a good defender, man. And like even in like the best matchup for the opponent, they can still mess up and just get like absolutely right. He's a very like unforgiving defender, I feel like. So yeah, very worth it on the defensive side. If you're missing a good defender, by all means go for this guy as a 5-star. He'll still put in a ton of work for you. Now, I know 5-stars on defense isn't the best idea for like the very high tiers, but like if you're in a like tier 5 or like tier 4 Alliance War, I feel like that's still a pretty viable option to place a 5-star, especially if they're like very new. So here's where I would place him. I would place him on Path 3 for sure, because he is such a heavy like armor up champion, and so like having the glance active, having the bleed active will just be very, very good overall, I feel like. So yeah, Path 3, either section is very good for him because he counters Gallon as well, so he's just a very strong option there. Hazard Shift can be good as well because like Longshot and Tigra are like two of the best options for him, I feel like. So putting him on a DOT node can like help prevent like the opponent using them. So yeah, just keep that in mind as well. I feel like this node can be a good placement too because of his constant like armor ups expiring, so there'll just be like a ton of miss that the opponent has to deal with, so it could be pretty nice overall. But I feel like this is also a pretty good placement because of his glancing. Safeguard can be very good, and it prevents a Corvus charge from happening, so I would say this is probably his best option. I wouldn't place him like anywhere where he can be Corvus because that becomes very dangerous for you. So yeah, just keep that in mind, and that's about it for the defensive side. I feel like he is great for the tech lanes in like X7 and KVQ, but like for very, very meta content like Grandmaster's Gauntlet or Eternity Pain, I feel like there is almost no use for him pretty much. He can work for like some of the mutant fights in Gauntlet, but like not really the Domino and all that, so very like niche usage for Ant-Man in the Gauntlet. And also like Eternity Pain, he is like no specific tag at all, so it's kind of like worthless to use him there, to be honest. However, I feel like in KVQ, he's just a very like strong attacker there, just because he interacts well with the armor up node, so he just like does a ton of damage overall. So yeah, for like the smaller stuff like KVQ and Act 7 or like Act 8 even, I would say he's pretty good for. Like the rotation in Act 7 and 8 can get pretty dodgy at times, but like it just might take a few more like rotations than usual. But like for Grandmaster's Gauntlet and like, Eternity Pain and all that, maybe not the best idea. Like maybe not the best investment, to be honest. So let's say you go for this guy in the arena and you do get him after all. How friendly is he to like signature stones? How much will you have to invest in him? So I feel like overall his signature ability is very, very powerful, especially on the defensive side because it gives him the damage cap and it gives him a pretty strong region too to like retaliate for the opponent whenever they do hit the damage cap. So yeah, I feel like overall his signature ability is very important, and I feel like 6200 is kind of like not necessary but very, very encouraged. And also it helps him on offense too because it gives him minus 90% incinerate and bleed duration, so that's a very strong as well. So yeah, it makes him good with like the double edge mastery, so you can run like half recoil masteries with him. It makes him good for like just a lot of nodes overall, I feel like. So now let's go over the best mastery. So like I said, double edge is very good for him because he has the bleed resistance, like the minus 90% bleed duration. So yeah, pretty strong here. Gives them massive damage benefit as well. So yeah, pretty good overall with the double edge. Recovery for the region, like on defense, is very, very good. This mastery is pretty like generic though, so you'll probably have it anyway, so just keep that in mind. Additionally, I feel like I don't even know how to say this, but like this mastery can be good because it gives them the full like bleed minus 100% duration even at rank 1. I feel like it's definitely not needed though. Same thing with color tech. Like it's a very good enhancement for his power control, but I feel like he doesn't really need it overall because his power control is already pretty good. It's just a nice enhancement, but it doesn't really do too much in the like wider spectrum. So I feel like overall he's a very good attacker and defender, and I feel like he is worth going for if you have a use for him. Like if you're missing a strong tech attacker, he'll definitely fit that role pretty well. If you're missing a good Battlegrounds defender, he will definitely fit that role very well. If you want to go for like an Alliance War defender who's like pretty Corvus safe, I feel like he is definitely worth it. You just need to place him like the right node so where he won't just get one shot by Corvus. Additionally, I feel like he is a pretty decent PvE character, but like he won't be used for like the important ones like Gauntlet or Eternity Pain. He'll be more used for like Act 7, CAV-EQ, things like that, or Thronebreaker EQ actually. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on future Ant-Man because I think he's pretty great overall. And yeah, that's about it for me.